of having a glitter ball in my lovely house and lots of kids mess around me, to the Strictly Ballroom, where we've seen the first all-male couple. Now, it was actually Leeds lass Nicola Adams who made history with the all-female couple last year, but it's great to see an all-male couple, and here's why. Because many people ask me, why is it so important? Oh, well, it's much easier these days for gay people and LGBTQ. Now, as someone who's been brought up by gay dads, I know how difficult it is for those growing up gay or trying to discover their identity in any way. But also for LGBTQ communities, it's so important, especially for young people, to have such role models like John Waite, who's one of the contestants on the show from MasterChef, was saying if he'd seen this when he was a kid, life would be much easier. And now we're huge Strictly fans. We've got a glitter ball in my lounge, pole dancing. They don't have pole dancing yet. But I just find it so important, because I know as a kid when I was being bullied and had my hair burnt, I had all sorts of comments about my dad's, and to the point I used to have to pretend my dad's partner was a lodger for most years. Even some of my best friends thought that. It's so true. It's about visibility, because even my best friends thought that my dad's partner was a lodger, and that was the only way of surviving school and getting through it. So whilst I was a kind of second-hand victim of homophobia, I know that how they had to hide, like holding hands, all the things you take for granted, that without realising subconsciously or consciously they were doing to keep safe. And yes, times are changing, things are getting better, but we need to see more role models. Like, it's so great to see on Strictly, although they are a little bit behind, because Dancing on Ice, I've already had an all-male couple, and lots of Strictly Come Dancing versions across the world have already shown all-male couples. And for me, it's not about saying there's anything different, because it's like, when people ask me, oh, how did your dad come out to you? Well, because I was a child, he didn't have to come out to me, because babies, children are born with open minds. It's us adults that tend to pollute them, or their peers that have had their minds polluted through their parents or the people around them. And actually, the more we see such like visible couples, and on the dance floor, in real life, on the streets, the more it empowers others to speak their truth and be proud of who they are, but also to be comfortable, because I think it's easy to forget how much stigma there still is. It's fine to just say, oh no, everyone's accepting, but you still hear so often homophobic jokes as the norm, and you also hear people go, well, if they don't shove it in my face, I don't mind. And it's like, well, no, it's just natural. It's just part of life. And we've also got everybody's talking about Jamie. I actually met the guy with Jamie, whose a true story it is. Everybody's talking about Jamie on Amazon Prime at the moment. And I saw the debut on stage, which was awesome. But it's easy to forget, beyond the glitter balls and glad rags, how important it is that people are given a voice, because there is so much stigma still out there. And I think during the pandemic as well, it's been particularly hard for LGBTQ community, because the more people are trapped in abusive situations or in lockdown, the harder challenges that they face. And there's always time to do more, and there's always an opportunity to do more, because at the end of the day, I know even secondhand how much it would have transformed my life. I know as a dual heritage young woman, even having Mylene Class, who was the same mix as me on ITV's Pop Stars, made my life that bit easier, because I remember seeing her for the first time and being like, I just loved her, because she was the only person who I've ever seen on TV who looked a bit like me. Now we see a lot more mixed race role models, but still not enough gay people. I know growing up how important it was to see that Christina Aguilera video, Beautiful, where we saw two gay men kissing. And that was also really important and transformational for my life, because it was just like, oh, finally, this kind of secret that we've had to have is just normalised. And again, it was bizarre for me going to school, because it had always been a normal thing in my house, because that was just love equals love. And I remember being asked to be quoted in this children's book about diverse families, and they said, also, what do you call your dad's partner? And I think they were wanting a profound answer, and the researchers were wanting to know what it feels like to have gay parents and whether they come out to you or not. And I just said, oh, we call him Pig because he jokes with us. And that's the simplicity of children's minds, is that they just are open, and it's about what that person brings to their life, and as long as they're being loved, that's all that matters to them. And it's when we like pollute their brains that things go wrong. So I so welcome, from the washing machine in the background and the glitter ball loosely hanging from my ceiling, to watching it on TV with my kids now, seeing more LGBTQ role models, but also that it just becomes this normal part of life. So here's to many more Strictlys, here to many more stories like everybody's talking about Jamie, who not just dreamed of being a drag queen and being a star, is now all over the world and famous for being so fabulous and transformational, but also they share resources for skills on anti-bullying, and all these stories have such a powerful impact on fellow people, fellow seldom heard communities. The more we see, the more we hear, the more we just accept one another for who they are. And yes, Johannes is brilliant role model. He's a bit of a cult favourite apparently, and that's John Waite's partner in the show. So make sure you watch Strictly if you're not already a fan like me. In the UK we're watching it anyway, but also we've got Strictly Come Dancing. Everybody's talking about Jamie if you've got Amazon Prime, if you did miss the stage show, or at least go onto their website to read the book. And I'm writing all about that and more, and seldom heard stories in my column tomorrow. So I'll post that on my blog, mamamay.co.uk, and I'd love to hear your stories, especially those seldom heard ones, because your voice needs to be heard, and often the most seldom heard stories are the ones that get stifled, and actually they have the power to change. But send you all so much peace, love and stories. Oh, and I still got a swollen face from some kind of allergy, so that's why I'm like this.